All right, good afternoon, folks. This is Thad Immerman with the Killeen Daily Herald. I'm here with Louie Minor, Commissioner for Bell County Commissioners Court Precinct 4 here in primarily the Killeen area. And so Louie is going to talk to us about something that he's going to propose to the Commissioners Court in an upcoming meeting. So Louie, just go ahead and take it away.
Right, yeah, no, since I got elected and came into office January of this year, there's been talk about the Justice of the Peace lines and constable lines. The issue was not addressed after the redistricting in 2021 when they had an opportunity to do it, and the Commissioners Court at the time said that they would address it at a later date. So I think that later date is here, and the citizens of Bell County need to understand, of Killeen, Harker Heights, and Nullville need to understand what we're really doing here in the county. I think a lot of people really don't know what the makeup of, by makeup I mean the population of each precinct for JPs, and the disparity of that and workload of that among all the JPs.
And the delay with the redistricting of the JP and the constable lines was due to the census being delayed because of COVID, as
Correct.
well as timing issues with having to get the election done in the next election year. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. Yeah, so COVID obviously delayed the census a little bit, and that had a trickle down. You know, we had to wait for the state to do some of its stuff, and then by the time I got to the Commissioners Court, I think there was only enough time to do the precinct lines and the Commissioner Court lines, Commissioners lines at the time.
Okay, and we were talking before, and Louie, you were showing me some pretty shocking numbers as far as population with the JP precincts currently. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the current JP maps, if I guess if you're watching this, you're interested in it. If you look at it, Precinct 1 in Bell County represents about 62,094. Precinct 2 JP represents 13,491. Precinct 3 JP, which has two places, so there's two JPs in Precinct 3, represents 77,931. And Precinct 4 JP, which there are two places in Precinct 4, so they got two JPs, represents 216,513. So there's obviously a disparity there in our JPs. So what can we do about that, you ask?
Yeah, I was about to ask that.
What can we do about that disparity? As a member of the Commissioners Court, we have a responsibility to look at the convenience of, that's one of the things, one of the criteria is convenience to the population for our Justice of the Peace. So what I'm going to be proposing is the creation of a Precinct 5 Justice of the Peace. So what we would do is the current JP Precinct 4, which represents 216,000 plus individuals, splitting that in half, creating a new JP precinct. But doing that would still make it larger than any of the other precincts in the county. So we would need 2 additional JPs and a new constable and a courtroom building annex for that JP office.
And you've been crunching some numbers based on the current costs of operational costs for the current JP offices and things like that. Just what have you budgeted so far based on current costs, and also what would that breakdown look like population wise, at least the way you've initially broken it down?
Right, so like I said, there's a lot of things that affect this. These numbers were current as of the census, but if we create a new precinct 5, that would represent roughly 122,000 plus people. We're about to build, we're in the design phase now for the new Killeen Annex in Precinct 4. That's going to run, 10 million plus. So not knowing exactly when we're going to build out a possible new annex, I'm budgeting probably about 15 million for a new annex, because it may be a couple of years before we get to that. But we will need new JPs, salaries and staff, operational costs, and a new constable operational cost. And I mean, starting from scratch, so they're going to need furniture, all that new equipment. So there'll definitely be a lot of startup costs to do that. But it's a level of service. We sitting on the commissioner court, that's what I hear all the time from the other members. It's a level of service. It's a level of service issue. We don't want to spend money because that's only a level of service issue. But the residents of Killeen, Harker Heights, and Nolanville are getting a lower level of service than the rest of the county is getting, in my opinion, for JP service. I'm not saying that the JP4 JPs, they've been handling the workload. They've been handling it since 2010, as far as I could tell, the workload. But it's not fair, it's not equitable here in the county that we have one JP and one constable representing just 13,000, servicing 13,000 people, and we got a JP and a constable, two JPs and a constable representing and servicing over 216,000 people.
Right. And what's the process going to look like from introduction to the Commissioner's Court to seeing this out until the end? What might this look like process-wise?
Well, I think a lot of it is going to hinge on citizen participation. What do citizens expect from their JPs, from their constables, and from their commissioners? Is it appropriate to go and file, for a small claims, and you get a court date months down the road, versus getting it fairly quickly? What level of service do we want here on the west side of the county? To me, it seems like we're subsidizing the east side of the county. I'm only proposing that we get the same level of service that the east side of the county has. So to me, it's a no-brainer that's what citizens would expect here as taxpayers. That's what I expect.
And some residents may ask, well, what gives the county the authority to do this? Yeah,
so the Constitution, the Texas Constitution gives us that authority to do that. We have up to a county can have up to 8 precinct JPs. So we're at 4. There's a lot of ways that we can do this. I understand that. I'm not opposed to anything, but this is my proposal that I'm setting forth before the people for consideration.
Okay. And now you had also mentioned earlier in our conversation before here on camera that you mentioned something that the JP's court is the people's court. So kind of expand on that and just kind of finalize with why this is important again for the people and for the county.
Yeah, so for me, there's a lot of things that the JPs interact with in our daily lives that we may or may not know. Deaths, obviously is a big thing. They do death inquest. They do small claims court. Those are up to $20,000, and that's where one of the few courts that you could go to where you could sue someone and not have to pay for an attorney or anything like that. So they hear a lot of small claims, evictions. They do a lot of marriages. So it's truly a multifaceted what our JPs do and constables do here in Bell County.
And just to finalize real quick, to wrap this up, you had mentioned that you have spoken to the current JPs and a retired JP for Precinct 4, and you said that they all agree that something needs to be done, but you said earlier what needs to happen is up to the Commissioner's Court. So there are other options that could happen. If you could just real quick explain that.
Yeah, obviously, everyone's going to have an opinion on how to address this issue. This is my opinion, what I'm proposing. There's a lot of things, but something, you can't look at the numbers and say everything is fair. There's just no, if someone tells me that, then they're not looking at the numbers. But like I said, what I'm asking for and what the citizens should be demanding is to have fairness and equity here on the west side of the county.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming in, Louie, and talking about that, and you keep us up to date on how the conversations at the Commissioner's Court go.
All right, thank you. And all I ask is for the people to get engaged with your county commissioners and let them know how you feel about this issue and give us your opinion.
All right. Thank you so much, Louie.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.